A sermon on Matthew 6:13-14, Our Daily Bread and Deliverance from Evil. Introduction. In the heart of the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus offers us a profound prayer, often referred to as the Lord's Prayer. Within this prayer, we find two petitions that speak directly to our daily needs and spiritual warfare: give us this day our daily bread, and deliver us from evil. These requests encapsulate the essence of our dependence on God and our need for His protection. Give us this day our daily bread. This petition is not merely a request for physical sustenance. It speaks to our reliance on God for all our needs, both material and spiritual. It acknowledges that our lives are sustained by His grace and provision. God's provision: we trust that God will provide for our needs, not according to our desires, but according to His perfect will. This provision extends beyond food and shelter to include emotional, spiritual, and relational needs. Daily dependence. This petition reminds us to rely on God daily. It's not enough to trust Him for one day, we must continually seek His provision in every moment. Gratitude and contentment. As we receive God's daily bread, we are called to express gratitude and contentment. This attitude of thankfulness fosters a heart that is not anxious or fearful about the future. Deliver us from evil. This petition speaks to the reality of spiritual warfare. We live in a world that is influenced by evil forces, and we are vulnerable to their attacks. As we pray this petition, we acknowledge our need for God's protection and deliverance. God's protection. We trust that God is our shield and defender. He is able to protect us from physical harm, emotional distress, and spiritual attacks. Spiritual warfare. This petition reminds us to be vigilant in our spiritual lives. We must put on the full armor of God to resist the devil's schemes. God's victory. We pray with confidence, knowing that God is ultimately victorious over evil. His power is greater than any force that opposes us. Conclusion. The petitions, give us this day our daily bread, and deliver us from evil, are not merely words to be recited, they are expressions of our deepest needs and our ultimate trust in God. As we pray these words, let us do so with faith, hope, and expectant anticipation. May God grant us the grace to live each day in dependence on Him, trusting in His provision and protection.